Today is day 32 of the Karen Reed trial. I'm out and about running errands, but I'm going to give you my daily recap. Today the jury is not present. The attorneys are there and they are arguing over some final motions and jury instructions. This is called the charge conference, I believe. And the first thing to note is that Alan Jackson is not present today. Yannetti does the majority of the arguments. He is doing a great argument in the beginning of the motion to dismiss again. They're just kind of renewing that. If you want a full recap of the defense's case and their theory, you should go back and listen to that. I would say it's probably like 10 minutes, but he does a really good job saying, this is why you should dismiss, and I would agree with that. So it was really good to hear. We get into particulars of the jury instructions. The Commonwealth is asking to not put lesser charges on the jury sheet. The defense wants them. The judge decided she is going to put them on there. So last time they had them on there as well. Sometimes this gives the jury some room to compromise if they're stuck in a standstill. It didn't work last time, but I also don't think that they understood the verdict form. They did say it was confusing. They asked for a different one. They used the standard Massachusetts form. The court can have the Commonwealth and the defense come up with a form that they agree on, but that takes extra time and we're not going to be able to get to that. What this means is that she could be found not guilty, and then the Commonwealth is asking that she is only able to be found guilty on the second-degree murder charge while under the influence, which is the heaviest of the charges. This is something that would have a sentence of life in prison. The defense is saying that we would like the lesser charges on there. Sometimes they do that, like I said, to compromise if the jury's stuck in a standstill and they're saying, well, we can't agree on that, but we can say that she's guilty of manslaughter with the DUI, or she's just guilty of the DUI. The manslaughter charge is 5 to 20 years in prison, which is a lesser charge. So the defense wants to include those. The Commonwealth doesn't. The judge is going to include them ultimately. We get into the Bowden defense motion just a little bit. This is that originally they were saying they were going to have a third-party culprit defense where they were alleging that it was Colin Albert, Brian Albert, and Brian Higgins. She does not want any hints or mentions at a third-party culprit defense because now they've moved on to it being called a Bowden defense. They will be allowed to argue this defense with limitations, including pointing to Brian Higgins. The judge is going to give instructions on that and a number of different things. There was also a clip of Karen Reed from the ID documentary where she says, it's either you or me going down for this, referring to Jen McCabe. That's in evidence, and the defense doesn't want the jury to think that it means that it has to be Karen Reed who's guilty or Jen who's guilty. So there's going to be clarification about that, I guess. The judge is so kindly going to give the attorneys an extra 15 minutes to do their closing arguments. So 75 minutes for the prosecution to be first, and then the defense will have their 75 minutes. The Commonwealth can make a rebuttal closing, but it has to total that 75 minutes. So maybe they'll do like 60 and 15. She wants the jury to come in early tomorrow around 8:45. So they start right on time at 9 a.m. They're going to be doing the closing arguments. Then they'll take their lunch break. It's going to be about 30 minutes. Then the judge will give the jury instructions and charge the jury, and they will go back to deliberate. So this means that they will have time to deliberate before breaking for the weekend. They'll start around maybe 2 or 2:30, and she's going to ask if they can go until 5 p.m. and stay late on a Friday. She wants the jury to be charged and to get the opportunity to deliberate before the weekend happens. The jury does not deliberate over the weekend. Tomorrow is Friday the 13th. I was watching the Emily D. Baker recap, and she said that this case started on April 1st, April Fool's Day, and then it will end tomorrow on Friday the 13th of June, which is just an interesting little coincidence. I think that's pretty much it for everything that was covered today, but she also did call attorney Yannetti a lessee, I think 2 or 3 times, which she's done that before. I don't know why that's so confusing to her. They look totally different. They're 2 totally different people. I don't want to speculate on anything about like how long deliberations are going to take and what the outcome is going to be, because after how it went last time, the only thing that we know is that we don't know anything. We don't know what the jury's thinking. I do know just from reading things about the jury from the court reporters that are in the courtroom that this is a younger jury than last time. The average age is about 30, so there's a lot of 20-something people, and then there are a few people in their 50s, but they said that the majority is in the 20-something. So that's it for day 32. I will be back tomorrow to recap whatever happens.